Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. This week we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be coding. So this is not for everybody, I fully admit that. But if you think it's interesting, maybe you'll be interested and want to do a little bit of coding yourself. So we're going to do a Breakout 2D game. No. Wait, what? Add. Wait, I don't want to add. I want a new one. And I don't want that. I want to specify. We're going to do it the latest and greatest, even though I don't think it's going to happen. We're going to do a 2D. I didn't change any names. Not paying very much attention right now, am I? Ah, and this stupid camera. And it's back. All you have to do is hit it a good number of times, and the image comes back. I think it might be time to get a new camera. Okay. And I've been using Visual Studio's code. Well, I start out with code. I like how sleek the code is. I might have to turn the camera off. It's pretty bad. It's dying horribly. Yeah, I think if it goes out again, I'm just gonna kill it. Man, it's taking a long time. It shouldn't take this long. It's importing a bunch of crap. How's everybody's week been? Almost seems like these lights need to be brighter or need to be back more by the green screen. Oh, the green screen moved up. Go ahead and work on these filters a little bit more. So I can get rid of the green, but then everything else kind of just dies. Right there. Can't move that anymore. We don't want to wash out the color. Okay, whatever. It's been a rough week. Oh no, Blue. What's been going on, man? Just work's been sucking? Okay, this is taking way too long. Oh, that's why. Okay. Just work sucking? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Blue. Okay. So here's the thing. Let me go ahead and get a notepad open for now. Because one of the first things I always do, been watching the Marvel movies with my kids as they grow up, so I need the order, is I like to make kind of an overall plan as to how I want to divide up certain things. Just, 5 minutes prep saves 10 minutes refactoring down the road, that type of thing. So, I'm going to need some way to keep information for the scene together. This is going to be lives, score, and anything else I think about. I need to make an arena. So this is going to be the walls. This is going to be a paddle. This is going to be the ball. And this is going to be blocks. Let's see. Is there anything else that I need from the game? Start screen. So let's do screens. These are going to be kind of dialogues that come up and can be removed. A start screen, because if you die, we can restart the ball, but you want to give the user a second or two to get used to the fact that they're ready to play again so they can click go. So a start screen. We also want maybe a help screen, and who knows. I do know that I do want to flesh out the blocks a little bit more because we have blocks in multiple types of blocks. So what I'm thinking about is doing some kind of not necessarily polymorphism, because that's a lot more heavy-handed than what we're dealing with, but just deal with some hierarchy. So you have a block, and then a subset of block could be block 1, block 2, block 5. And what that means is how many hits it actually takes to do that. The question is whether or not I want to split it out into 3 different types of blocks, or have one type of block that has a HP. Brick Breaker speedrun programming, let's go. Oh, I don't think I'm going to get this done in the 30-40 minutes that we have. But this at least gives me an idea of how I want everything to lay out and structure. I think for this first go, I'm not going to do it like I did with the 3D one where I generate bricks based, generate a level. I think I'm going to manually create a very simple level for the time being. Do you know about prefabs? Yes, sir. Well, probably know this much about prefabs. So we're going to go get it. So I kind of want to mimic this here over here in the scene. And so we have this main camera in the scene, and what I'm just going to do immediately is just create some empty objects. And I'm going to rename this info, and this may be very horrible way of doing this. So Blue, if you're cringing, sorry. But this is how I'm going to start it, because I don't think like a Unity developer. I think like a C++ developer or a standalone application developer. The scripting stuff it's a different paradigm to get used to. So we have our screens, even though I don't care about that. Info, we're going to deal with later. Scenes, we're going to deal with it later, because the first thing, do you know about scriptable objects? Quite possibly. What do you mean by scriptable objects? See, here's the first thing. Is 3D object, I have cubes and spheres and stuff that I was manipulating. Whatever gets the job done, yeah. But I don't have 2D cubes and circles. Is it just a sprite? Have I already sunk myself, Blue? How do I get a 2D cube? 2D rectangle sphere. There's probably something here, or is it just a rigid body? Scriptable objects are a class similar to monobehavior that you can use to internally store data properties. I did not know about that. No, I've been using the monobehaviors on just in regular game objects to keep track of it. And it's been a beast trying to keep track of them so that my ball can update my main info. So, no, I did not know that. Sure.
Hi, hello.
Hello, Blue. Okay.
I didn't know your stream was so far behind.
Mute the stream. Wait, no, I gotta see.
Turn the volume down there.
That's 5 seconds.
Okay, so yeah, it might be a little janky since your stream is delayed. But yeah, feel free to ask questions.
Okay, so 3D object, cube sphere, and then I can manipulate that to be whatever shape I want. Is there a way to just get a simple square?
What do you want to manipulate?
I want a square or a rectangle.
Okay, yeah. So there's the actual sprite, and then there's the collider.
Mm-hmm.
So those are separate things that you'd have to change.
I got the rigid body, which is used for interaction between objects.
Yeah, so the rigid body is the actual physics part. So that's going to handle like all the physics stuff.
So I guess as long as you have a...
And if you hover over the scene view and press F, you should zoom in to where, like, while you have the object highlighted.
That's the main camera view.
Oh, okay. It's because there's no sprite on there. That's why.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So you kind of have to have something drawn.
No, you can use gizmos to visualize objects that don't have sprites or anything. But generally, yeah, in this case, if you just put in a sprite, just put in a square, then you can use the rigid, then you can look at the rigid body and match sizing.
Can't move that at all.
Yeah, scriptable objects, it's like a different split. So unlike mono behaviors, which is where as long as something inherits from mono behavior, you can attach it to object. Scriptable objects aren't like that. You can't attach them to any game objects or anything. They just exist. I guess they're closer to like static.
Yeah, but they're static then. So how do you
like static
update
data
them?
Containers, I guess. So
How do you
can access them?
How do you
wherever,
update the instantiated copy, the instantiated object?
So you don't instance the scriptable object. It's just data.
Well, so somehow I need to keep track of this data.
You can make an instance of a game object. So you can make an instance of a game object that has properties read from the scriptable object, and then those can be manipulated.
Okay.
And then you can also manipulate the data itself, but it doesn't exist as an instance, I guess. Like it's just, I guess all the variables or whatever data is technically static.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also if you manipulate it during gameplay, the changes are permanent. Whereas mono behavior, so during gameplay, you can modify something.
And then as soon as you stop it,
it'll reset, values.
Yeah.
So unlike mono behavior, scriptable objects, changes will be permanent.
Let's see.
Okay, but yeah, what are you trying to do?
I'm just trying to get something to put onto the sprite so that we can actually see some kind of shape to it.
Oh, you can just use default. They should have default sprites. You can also right-click in the assets, and you can make basic shapes. Oh, well, not literally on the assets folder, but like in the area where you'd have like a file. Yeah, sorry about the delay.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, create.
I waited for it.
You'll have sprites.
Okay. Well, okay. Which these are then prefabs that I could put in here, and I can say, this is what I did last time, where I took it as the top, and then I moved it and modified it.
Oh yeah, but what I failed to explain properly last week was, so when you call root on a game object, you're actually referencing the topmost game object of the hierarchy. So
when you call root.gameObject, but I was doing root off of the transform.
Yeah. So the transform is the transform of the game object. When you call root, you get the transform of the highest point, the root object of that game object. And then you are disabling that root object, which would inherently disable all of its children, which is why everything was disappearing for you.
Well, the interesting thing is that's how I've had it for the longest time, and it was working until I started putting in the text mesh.
Well, my guess is that you were working with individual instances that weren't under a higher.
But then once I got,
and then when when you automated them, probably instancing them under some parent object umbrella thing.
Okay, what am I missing here? Oh, is this saying? How do I get the color on this?
Yeah, you can just click on the box. Oh,
I'm
okay.
just being a complete moron about it, okay?
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of hard for me to help sometimes, just because I'm not sure like where you're at in the stream versus real time.
So this is the cheapy crap that I did before. Oh, not you.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
go there.
just simple.
Left. And
And also, sort of the first thing you want to do is know like what resolution you're targeting.
whatever the scene camera starts me at. that's
Okay, so
that's
if you
my
click in
default.
the game tab, which is next to scene, I don't know what you're on either. Might be on free aspect.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so free aspect, it changes the aspect ratio depending on the window. Probably just want to lock it into something. Because if you ever move any of the windows, like shrink it or grow it, then your whole thing will be.
Interesting. That may have been the problem I was running in before, where my walls were shifting, which is one of the weirdest things.
Yeah, because the width of the camera is dynamic, but the height is whatever you set it to.
But how do I rotate it so that, because these are all wider than they are taller, and I want taller than the wider.
There's a plus button at the bottom, and you can make your own. So you'll probably make a vertical aspect ratio.
Width and height. So. Edits. Yeah, I like how that didn't change at all. Okay. Height 20, so you can't be below 10.
Well, it's good. You were on fixed resolution, which is like a pixels thing. So you want to change that to like an aspect ratio, or you probably want to bump up the numbers if you're doing pixels.
Okay, so yeah, something more like this.
Because it's thinking like 10 by 20 pixels is what it's thinking.
Oh, what's a good size? I guess it all depends on the ball size. Yeah, let's just do 1200 by 600. Oops, opposite. Okay. Actually, I'm going to do this.
Oh yeah, but anyway, a prefab is when you drag it. You can drag a game object from the hierarchy into your assets area, and it'll remember that object and all of its like properties as is.
Yeah, and I did that with my brick because I wanted to dynamically create them based upon my text file or my string, my double array. So I needed to have a prefab.
And then you could use a scriptable object as the data for like level data, say, and then you could.
Because I just had an empty game object,
and then instantiate all of them as needed. Yep.
So I had a game object, and on each of my ball, wall, bricks, whatever, they all had a game object variable. And so I'd always drag that game object onto there. But it got weird once you started going to a prefab, because it was tied to that game object, but I wasn't sure it was ever that instantiated game object from when you actually start your program.
Yeah, so as soon as you deal with prefabs, you'll get a new set of buttons at the top in the inspector. And so because you can have individual properties that are different from the prefab, you'll have things like revert or apply, where, you know, like you might want to apply the properties of what you just did back to the prefab. I'll change it to all the children. Or you might want to revert it back to the original prefab.
Well,
maybe you changed something you didn't mean to.
Remember, I didn't have any bricks on the screen at all in the scene. It wasn't until you started, and then I had inside that game object, that generic game, that would go and generate all of them from the prefabs. No, just when the prefab, that brick was instantiated, it didn't have the already instantiated game object because it hadn't been created yet. The brick hadn't been created yet. So I was manually setting the game object on each dynamically generated brick to be what...
Oh, wait. Did you have, like, brick as its own, like, a class?
As a prefab.
I'm not sure I understand.
But that's okay, because we're starting anew. We're starting anew.
All right, something different. Yeah, all right, that's irrelevant.
You may have cared about this before, but it doesn't matter anymore. And...
brighter pastures now.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to have a paddle, and this paddle does need a rigid body, not a collider, because we're not actually doing anything with it. We do.
Well, you probably want to give it a collider.
No, now I can't remember because it's been like 2 months since I've done it. There is a difference as to when you want to use a rigid body and a collider, and one of them was that you're actually going to be doing something with it rather than just dealing.
The rigid body gives you physics that are
just
the
basic physics, right?
Okay,
ball
so,
bounces
yeah,
off of something else.
A collider is literally just hitboxes, just a basic hitbox. But the rigid body will give you access to things like gravity.
Okay.
Which is why normally you'll probably want to change
just the collider.
Which means you'll control its movement completely by script and not by physics.
And I knew it was one of those. I just thought the rigid body was the simple one, but no, it's the collider. Okay.
Well, the collider is the hitbox, and the rigid body is what gives it all the physics properties. Like, I don't know if you've seen games like them, but where they're like physics-based games, and the character's like all wonky, and their movement is super janky.
Like Fall Guys? Not Fall Guys. Gang Beasts.
Yeah. Gang Beasts. Oh yeah, Gang Beasts definitely. Yeah, those don't use kinematic movement. It uses the physics engine, and you're just applying forces to the physics bodies, and then they're doing their thing. But most games use kinematic, which is where all of the movement is controlled through script, but they can still apply physics on other objects.
This one we're going to do a collider. And then this one, want to add a script for movement and for collision detection on the bricks. New script. C# mastery. I loved C# so much. I did it for 5 years, and I felt like I was an amazing developer. And then I've spent the last 6 years doing C++, and now I can't really remember anything in C# land. Very sad.
Yeah, I had C++. Well, I had C and then C++ through college. And, like, trying to go back, it's like, I don't really remember.
That's how, when I got this job, it was like, oh, let's learn a little bit about C++ again, because I used to know it pretty good. And then I started reading up on templates and C++ 11, and I was like, oh, this is all new to me.
On 11? Holy cow. Yeah.
There's even a newer one, but we're using C++ 11.
Like 3. I think like 3 on 3 or something. My old college book.
Where'd it go? File script. There we go.
Yeah, the way Unity is designed, it's more like, so they think that, you know, you'll have a mono behavior, which is like one behavior tied to a script, and then you can mix and match those onto game objects to give them different, like, the actions that you. And that's sort of like the idea. I don't know if that makes sense, but.
Oh, I'm sorry. I completely ignored you for right now while I'm looking for some of my
Yeah,
doing
no
something
worries.
else. Okay, so this is what I had on the last one. Let's go ahead and bring this into another tab group.
Which input system are you using?
It was key.
Just the default? Well, I mean, so there's two different systems. There's the older one and the newer one. I'm assuming you were using the older one.
I'm
Yeah. Okay,
I'm
you were using the
using
older one.
Google Unity development. How do I get a key enter? Tell when a key enter is being
Yeah,
pressed.
okay, so that's
And
the
it was,
old input
boom.
system. I don't know if you want to learn the new one, but the new one is more complicated, but it allows a lot more flexibility.
Yeah, I don't care. Tell me the new one.
Okay, well, I mean, the new one, so you gotta install it.
Oh, nope, not going.
You know how to install it through the package manager?
I know the package manager.
Actually, we'll skip that. Let's just get Brick Breaker working. We can learn.
It's called
Learn
Breakout,
input.
not Brick Breaker. It's very important.
Oh, Breakout. Are they? I'm sure they're different. I don't know.
It's just people have come up with the same idea but named it differently. Okay, so I'm getting the rigid. So I do need a rigid body in here. And this is going to be a rigid body 2D now. So I'm getting the rigid body on this component, the ball. Getting the velocity, setting it to be this initial velocity, which is the starting speed, and I have set here, which should save, come back here, should be represented in the inspector. And we'll do 5, sure.
.NET 1.0.
What's that?
Farticus is saying .NET Framework 1.0. Remember the good old days?
I've done Visual Basic 6, Visual Basic .NET, C++, C Sharp, Leprechaun, and then back in school I did a number of, Lisp, Pascal, things like that.
What's Leprechaun? I've never heard of that.
So I used to work at a place called Jordan School District, and they had a set of software built by Unisys, which is a company in Utah, that was strictly kind of a report type based software or language. So you could build your reports and get what kind of information from the database you want, and then it would also have a separate section on how you can display that information that was returned from your queries. So it was all based a lot on reporting, and Leprechaun was the internal language for that Unisys program. That is where I learned how to program in Vim. And I still program in Vim, but it's not as good. Sounds like Crystal Reports. I don't know what Crystal Reports is, but probably. Okay. So that's my cheating from last time. Just importing a bunch of crap that I've already done. So if I do up arrow, up and down. Oh, yeah, ignore this. That was going to be, I was going to allow the user to change the speed,
up and down?
to change the speed of the ball, so that if it was going in a wonky way or you're getting bored trying to hit that last one, that you could change it. So that's
I like that idea.
a thing for later. So this paddle is the one that I'm thinking about. Let's have a solid naming convention here, shall we, for our objects?
So generally, because we're working with physics, you kind of want to handle all the movement in one function call usually. Otherwise, you can get some pretty weird bugs.
In one function
So
call.
it's generally more acceptable to have a vector representing the translation or movement and then you change the vector with the input, and then at the very end, you apply that vector, collision, or movement.
Are you talking
Does
about
that make
changing the movement on the ball
So if you're
specifically?
just in general, anything dealing with the physics engine,
Uh-huh.
you want to try to call once per frame. You don't want to call it multiple times within the frame, just because of the way it Unity does its physics. Actually, have you seen that little?
I'm not sure I know exactly what you're talking about. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
I think as we get in there and start... that was a weird noise. Did you send me something?
Yeah, I sent you a link to the order of execution. You don't have to pay attention to it right now, but just if you ever are wondering.
As to how the game engine cycles, what it does?
Yeah, because a lot of bugs happen when you're dealing with physics and you're trying to manipulate things. Because some, like the most common bug is you'll have let me turn down my computer fan. If you're hearing that.
Just barely. You're fine.
Oh, okay. But anyway, one of the more common bugs that people encounter is camera jitter. And that has to do with updating the camera so they'll be following something with the camera, but that'll update at a different rate from the thing they're following, and that commonly causes jitter.
Okay, that makes sense.
But that's a simple explanation of like different little things that could happen if you're changing things different spots.
Oh yeah, like
multiple times, different calls.
From the programming that I do, there are some things like templates and my brain's gone blank. But there are other areas of code that are very hard to debug because it just goes in different directions. Anything like threading. Scripting is very similar, where it's just like something's wrong. Start commenting out every bit of code until you come across what's causing the problem.
Yeah, see, I imagine like whatever you do, it's like a lot more difficult than Unity.
Well, but it's just I think I know I have all of the skills and the knowledge to do the programming of a game, but I just have to think about things in a completely different way. It's like speaking a different language.
The engine, as soon as you learn like the engine and all the little things, I think you'd already be better than me. Which sucks for me. But I'm trying to learn.
Why does it suck for you? You're learning.
Oh, no, just like someone else is like coming in new and it's like, alright, I'm better than you already.
Okay.
It's like, oh, but I've tried.
Main camera. Here's my view. Here's everything here. Where has everything gone?
Okay, so let's see.
Camera preview.
Oh, go to game. Go to the game tab.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a slider. You're zoomed in.
There we go.
So you want to change the scale? Yeah, you're zoomed in.
Hey, look at that. Gravity happened. We don't want gravity to happen. That's going to be body. Gravity scale is 0.
Did you put colliders on the top, left, right?
No, I have not.
Okay, so you can use control, and it's similar to shift in StarCraft to select multiple objects, and then you can add a component to all of them at once. Just save a little bit of time.
What happened to my spherical object there? Was it not spherical to begin with?
Is it? Yeah, I was gonna say, is it not a sphere? I think the scale is. Yeah, the scale on the ball So under the transform,
Okay.
there we go. Egg shape. Or, I mean, I guess you could have an egg shape. That'd be interesting.
So, when I was doing it in 3D, F equals force equals mass times acceleration. Yeah, no, that's one of the things that I love about Unity is you don't have to do a lot of that physics crap. Oh, because we don't have a bounciness object. That's why. Create a physics material 2D, and we're going to call this bouncy. Bounciness B1 and friction 0. And we're going to rename this bouncy. And then we want to go to the ball. And on the rigid body, we'll add the bouncy there. Okay. Yeah, I need to set my max. Okay. So if this guy goes to, is that 106? No. Negative 1.5. And this guy, we'll call it 1.8. So I set maxes here so that my paddle doesn't go past the walls.
So you're not going to break that out as a separate variable?
What, as the wall size?
Or is it just because this is like a quick little project?
I mean, I can break it out as a separate variable, but does it really matter? What does
Okay,
that?
well,
What does that?
normally
What does
we
that
would,
buy
yeah.
me, Blue? Huh? Convince me to do it
Normally
otherwise.
we'd like hard numbers, avoid at all costs, like deep in the code. Hard values. It just makes it easier for a designer to go in and change numbers. Vector, not have to deal with code at all. Oh, and you don't have to do public. You can just do the serialized field attribute.
What?
You can do a serialized field attribute on a private variable. That way it's still not public, but someone can change it in the inspector. They can view it and change it.
Like that?
You need brackets around serialized field.
Brackets around. Show me what you mean.
Yeah, like that.
Like that? What?
The square brackets.
You
Not
mean
the curly braces.
after?
Yeah, there we go.
I have no idea what that is. That is nothing that I've ever seen before.
That just allows.
Is that C
Unity-
sharp a long time? Is that C sharp type thing? Or is that a Unity thing?
It has to do with like serializing. So if you're serializing the variable,
Mm-hmm.
it lets Unity know that it can view, it can like save that data. So it'll attach its own number to that data, I guess. I'm bad at explaining. But yeah, it lets you edit and is the important part. The actual technical thing is like
Just do what I say and don't question it ever.
the
Okay.
technical thing is like
So it's not up. It's not
serialized
publicly
variable,
accessible
so
by
Unity knows
everything.
that it
Basically,
data or something like that.
so the takeaway for me is this is not a public variable that other objects can be able to access, but
They
it
can't
is something
access
that you can see
It
in
just
the
lets
editor.
Unity do stuff in the inspector. Yeah.
Okay.
All I know is it's also semi-related to system.serializable.
That's still not going quite as far left. Didn't I do
Is
142?
your camera or something off center? Something's probably off center.
How dare you just claim that? Why would it be off center?
Oh, okay. Far left is a different number.
Yeah, it's 152 even, but I mean I could go as far as 153, but it's still leaving. It's almost like this is getting changed a little bit, or the walls are moving. I don't know. It's very exciting stuff here, people. I'm surprised there's as many people in chat as there are.
How many people are in chat?
It shows me 4 viewers.
Oh, 4. Me.
See, that one goes all the way over. That one doesn't go over enough. Yeah, there's something weird. Let's just go ahead and do this to 1.6 and change this to 1.7. Let's see what happens there. Is there any difference between it? Nope, still no difference.
Okay, so my guess is going to be how you're moving it.
Position.x plus or minus 1 floating point 1. Oh, that the movement is too big, so it won't move it over.
Well, okay, so generally, movement, you want to, if you're in the update, you want to tie the movement to the frame rate, because, you know, if someone's running at like 10 FPS versus 120 FPS, you don't want them to be able to move faster with higher frame rates, right?
I do.
Okay, maybe you do.
I want to punish those who have better computers than me.
With potato PCs. Okay, but in general, yeah, we have a thing called time.delta time.
Mm-hmm.
Delta time is the difference between time.
Blue, I know about that.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know how to program it. So I've done a number of little gaming projects in the past, and I have dealt with that to handle different computers with different size.
It's literally just multiply by capital time dot delta time.
Capital
Because
delta
Unity
time.
keeps track of all of that. Well, because
What do I need to using?
Well, time is the class, so it'd be capital T time dot delta time. You don't have to instantiate anything.
Okay.
Yeah, it's literally just time dot delta time, and that'll give you the time in seconds.
It'll be relative, or so that
frame
everybody would be treated equally.
So that ties speeds to the frame rate, which is different. Like if you wanted a
look how slowly that's going.
Fighting game. Yeah, because it's child.
It's like stretching.
You should have punched out that speed into a variable so you could adjust it now.
Blues speed. There you go, blue speed.
My speed. And then you could have like a hyper speed.
We can do.
Hit a hypercube and then it. Oh, .NET. A book? Literally
VisualBasic.net? No, we are not going back to VisualBasic.net. That is already 20 years old, Farticus. I have... Oh, I don't think I have it here. I think I got rid of most of my books, but I had the VisualBasic.net book that I got when I got my last job so that I could learn what to do. Paddle. Blue speed, and I'm probably going to need to make it... Oh, let's just do 1. Is that going to be good enough? Now we can tinker with it. Pause. Let's do 3. Let's do 5. Yeah, I like 5. Okay, so when we do this, it'll get rid of that. Okay. I want to add a game object in here. Create empty. And this is going to be death. Tell me if I'm doing this wrong. But death is going to be... Whoa. Why are you circle? Oh, it's just letting me know. This is going to be a box collider 2D.
So if you have an object that doesn't have a sprite, but you want to be able to like click on it or see it in the scene view, there's a cube right under inspector. You can click that, and then you'll have an array of options.
Yeah, whether or not to show. Yeah, this is just a game object, so it's not going to have any visual representation in the game anyways.
But I just mean so you can see it, so you can like click it and drag it and move it.
Is this just whether or not it's viewable, or is it interactable?
Oh, no, I don't mean the check mark. Literally the cube. See, there's a drop down?
Oh, is that what you mean?
Yeah. And so that icon is only visible in the editor. It's not in game. It's just so you can see it. So like if you have a thing like waypoints, you might have like the little diamonds so you can see the waypoints. And then because you don't want the box collider to be an actual box,
no, I want it to be a box.
Is trigger.
I want it to be a box.
Well, no, I mean like a physical box that something would bounce off or hit.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
Is trigger removes the physical body.
But it still does the collision detection.
Yeah, so it does collision detection. It just doesn't have cause physics.
Do you like my debugging?
It wouldn't bounce off of it. It would just pass through it like it didn't exist.
And
so instead of on collision enter, you do
on collision
trigger enter. On trigger enter because it's a trigger now.
See, and this was something I was running into. The trigger was getting... Was it the trigger or... I had a slight issue with this. I think the trigger was being called twice. No, I figured out why that was. The ball was bigger than the blocks, and so it was hitting 2 blocks. Didn't seem like it was getting rid of 2 blocks, but it actually was. Does this need to be on trigger 2D enter because I'm dealing with 2D objects, or is it the same independent of what your objects are that are interacting?
Yeah, you can just do on trigger enter. There's no collision 2D.
What is this guy's name? Just a ball. Oh, because I had a game interaction here. So is this the best way of being able to interact and tell whether or not what is triggering this is the ball and not these walls?
Where are you at? Oh, okay, sorry about this.
No, you're okay.
Let's see if collision. Oh, okay. So, do you know about tags and layers?
Probably not.
Okay, so in the inspector, right under the name, there's a thing called tag, and then there's another thing called layers. So there's a lot of ways to handle collisions and triggers and stuff, but a common way is you'll give something a tag. So either a tag or a layer, right? And tags, the Unity engine does not use at all. It's only for your use in code. So you can make any tag, give item any tag, whatever.
To link things together.
Layers are kind of used in the physics engine and the UI. So it's generally not used as much in customizable code like this. So, but yeah, you can use either or. So you can they'll all have a tag of brick, or there'll be a layer of brick, whatever you want. Or you could have it a layer, custom.
So a ball?
Yeah, you could say, yep, whatever makes the most sense.
Okay, I created a tag of ball.
and then you just check if that game object has the tag.
So it's just tag. How do I know what all the tags are? Because I'm assuming this is like an enum that is saved away somewhere, all the possible tags. Or is it just a string comparison?
I have no idea. I just do string comparison.
You do? Okay. So if the collider, the thing I'm hitting, or is triggering my box, my collider is ball, then I can grab the ball. So I wanted to, here I wanted the ball to control all the movement around the ball, including the start position, stop position, and the ball reset was just to go back to the starting position.
Okay, so generally, they have a. You want it to basically just restart the scene, right?
Yeah. Well, restart the scene, but I don't want to just restart the scene, because restart the scene would then clear out all of my...
So generally, people use singletons.
Uh-huh.
They'll just have a singleton object with the don't destroy on load property. So they'll basically restart the scene, and they'll have some sort of either like lives or score or whatever. That'll decrement. The scene will restart.
Right, but won't that restart all of your blocks? Or are your bricks individually going to be part of that singleton?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was thinking of something different. Okay, so just resetting.
You're thinking like I ran out of lives, end of game restart?
Yeah, I was thinking.
Gotcha.
You're like dying and restarting the entire level. I forgot that in Brick Breaker, it's just like. Yeah,
if you go past the battle, you're dead. You have a new life though.
Okay, so what was the question then?
So
Re-ask the question.
I want the ball to reset because the ball died. So is this the best way to have the ball reset, where I actually have a copy of the ball that is tied specifically to this, and then I will move the ball back to its initial spot with its initial velocity?
Yeah. So you don't actually have a copy. You just have a reference to that game object.
Oh, death.
You're not making a copy or anything.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And is this going to be serialized?
Okay, just save the reference. You probably want to like stop all the physics as well. Otherwise, it'll have physics carry over when you teleport it.
I'm changing, I'm changing the velocity where it's moving. There's no rotations that's happening on the ball. What physics things would I need to be aware of?
Well, no, let's see. Okay, you're not going to stop it?
No, it just starts at the initial velocity again.
Oh, so it'll just like instantly start again. Okay, I'm used to, usually it's like stopped and then the player moves around and then they start it with like a button or something. But yeah, if you're just resetting the velocity and everything, yeah, you can do that.
I want to get to that point where it stops and there's a dialogue that says player ready, click start or something else. Message parameter has to be of type collider. On trigger enter.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's
probably on trigger. Oh yeah, collision versus collider. Yeah, sorry. I'm so used to using the autocomplete.
Well, it was already there, remember? And then you had me change it rather than creating it from scratch. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I didn't notice.
So other is already a collider, so I just need to worry about collider tag. Purposefully lose. Oop. Debug log trigger was hit. Oh, back. Let's see, did we even get into that comparison? I wish there was a little bit more better of a debugger. So the console's not even getting hit. This is the way of debugging, rather than like stepping in and be able to step through things. The trigger was not hit.
You can step through stuff.
How?
Do you mean like step frame rate or step through the code?
Step through the code. I mean, you could attach it to a process, but a lot of times that's more trouble than doing printf statements for debugging.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the on-trigger enter never got hit.
Okay, so I'm probably wrong. Maybe it is on trigger enter 2D. Let me check real quick.
Yeah, there is a 2D.
Okay.
And it's a collision object instead. No, it's still a collider. Okay.
All right, take 5.
Okay. Now we're going to switch over to heroes in about 5 minutes.
We got a lot done.
There we go. Boom, boom, boom. So it didn't reset the velocity. It's just killing itself over and over again. You probably need to add a rigid body to the game object ball, or your script needs to check if the component is attached before using it. There is a rigid body. So is it complaining about this? It's not finding the rigid object on rigid body on the ball.
Yeah, rigid body 2D.
Oh, that's why. Probably need to add a rigid. Okay, that's the same thing. And that's probably why the initial velocity wasn't going in the up direction and was continuing to go in the down direction. Okay, so that magic is there. Let's add a brick. I'm going to add a new empty object in here, and this is going to be bricks. And honestly, we'll just create one brick for now. Oop. That's a good brick size. And if anybody disagrees, well, then that's their choice. Yeah, we'll just keep it right there. Okay, so now we want to add a script. Brick script. Yeah, okay. And we'll call this brick. Okay, brick script. Ball script. No, what do we do then? Paddle script? Yep. Okay, so each brick is going to have a number of hits that it can take, and in the future, if they have multiple hits, maybe we'll change colors to let them know the color be a visual representation of how many more hits the brick has in it, how many points you get from it, and then I had the scene info so that I could update this, but collision enter 2D. We'll just get rid of that for now. Set scene info, that was for something else. So game object set active, false. Don't need Don't need a starter update, but whatever, we'll leave them in there. I forgot to add something to it, didn't I? Boom! We did it. Okay. I'm calling that because it's time for HOTS, isn't it? So I have almost gotten to I've gotten about halfway to 2/3 of the way as far on this project as I did with the 3D project. So that's pretty good. File, save as, let's save it as something else. Oh, we'll just save it as a... Okay. Is this interesting enough? Do I do this again? Or
entire level made.
No, not really. Was that interesting enough?
It just has one brick.
Well, it doesn't have score, doesn't have lives, doesn't have all of the dialogues for starting, stop, help, whatever.
Close
so,
enough.
Let me know
you
if
should
that
look
was
into
interesting
statistical
enough.
objects. You'd probably like those.
Oh yeah, I think that's basically the world information. World info is that's basically what those are made for. Those will come in handy.
Yeah, like shop inventories and things, prices, properties, enemy stats.
Anything and everything. Okay.
Yeah, all the data.
Well,
Internal data.
let me know in chat. Let me know in comments if you want to see more of this, and if so, then we can have fun. We can code together. Otherwise, I'll just stick to video games. Okay, bye guys.